Alrighty guys, I'm Casey and welcome to a brand new episode of Into the Farlands. And I need a bed. We need to make a bed up. In the last episode, we talked about speeding, I believe, within the EU, which was really interesting for me, talking about a subject. I already had a crafting table that I was a little bit worried about talking about, if I'm going to be honest with you. I was very worried about talking about that. But it seems to have ended up alright in the end. In this episode, I want to talk about just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I want to talk about my car now. I forget which way we are heading. I believe we are heading so that the sun rises on our left and sets on our right. That's right, isn't it? Although I feel that the boat's there, so we must have come from that way. I guess I'm going to have to use F3 to figure out. We're 14,000 blocks out, so yes, it is definitely this way. So, yes. Okay, so this episode, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about my car. I want to tell you guys the story of my car, about how I ended up getting my car, how I ended up passing my driver's test, and just in general, just a few little snippets here and there about what I did and what I didn't do. So, let me tell you about my car. My car is a Fiat Punto. It's a sporting model. It's a 2004 plate, so it's quite an old car. But at the same time, it's for what I need it for, it's a good car. It's cheap to run on fuel. It's cheap to run on tax. It's cheap on the insurance. Overall, it is a cheap car to run. And I'm very happy with it. I very much like my car. I very much think my car is... Can I just... Really? I would get stuck on something or other. So it's a very cheap car to run. And I very much like it. But it has been expensive. It has been very expensive over the years. And I'm at a point now where I'm debating getting rid of the car. Getting a brand new car. Of course, I will always keep my first car. I will probably put it on the drive and just keep it there. Maybe I'll give it to my mum, let my mum run it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. But I went out on Sunday. My mum came around over the weekend and she says, "Hey, do you want to go out for a drive?" I was like, "Well, don't really feel like going out for a drive." She's like, "Oh, come on, let's do it." I was like, "All right, fine, and let's go out for a drive." And we decided to go out for a drive. And as I get out, as I pull down the curb, I hear this of metal. And I'm like, that's not right. And my steering felt weird. I'm like, that's not right. But my car's been stood for, I don't know, about 4 or 5 days. I've not been anywhere in it. And I haven't driven it in like 2 weeks, but the last person to drive it was indeed my mum. So I thought maybe it's just a little bit of rust. Maybe it is perfectly fine. And I'm viewing it wrong. Maybe that's just what it is. And so I started to pull away, and immediately you could hear the metal grinding. I'm like, that's not from being stood. That metal grinding is certainly something a little bit more serious. So I decided to ask my mum to get out of the car and just have a look at the. Oh, that was a lot of wool off of that sheep. I asked my mum to have a look, and she said it looked like there was some rust on the floor, but she couldn't really see anything. But she could hear it every time I turned my steering wheel, and so, of course, I would catch it in a block, wouldn't I? Come on, boat. And so I decided to reverse back up and I put it back onto the curb, and I get out and I have a look myself, and there's a big chunk of metal. It looks like part of the suspension coil has snapped. And it's just laying on the floor. So I put that in the car. And I think, okay, well, I can't drive my car. I've got to get it towed to a garage. Now, thankfully, my insurance covers breakdown as well. And that doesn't affect my no claims, which is awesome. Because if it did, I'd have no claims because it's always breaking down on me. But anyway, I had the guy come out about it. I decided not to call up Sunday because the garage that I want it towed to isn't open on a Sunday, and they have to tow it to a garage that's open or a garage that is secure via them. And so I thought to myself, I'll give them a call Monday. Monday rolls around, and I completely forget that I have this electrical safety check. Although I shouldn't say I have the electrical safety check. I've had the electrical safety check, but it is come back with some problems, and they're coming out yesterday, being Monday for me, to fix it. I mean, that can't be right. Yesterday was Tuesday. I guess they were coming out Tuesday. Oh yes, of course. I know where I'm going wrong here. I'm getting my days mixed up. Monday was WrestleMania. For some reason, I'm on one of those weeks where I am a day behind everywhere. It's Wednesday today. It's actually the time that I hand my daughter back to my wife, and my wife's like, this morning, she's like, hey, I'm gonna do this with someone today. I'm like, hang on a minute, it's my time with her, isn't it? And she's like, it's Wednesday. I'm like, it's Tuesday. And it's like, no, it's Wednesday. I'm like, it's Tuesday. And she's like, brings her phone up. It's like, it's Wednesday. I'm like, oh, it's Wednesday. So, come here, chicken. You know what? You get to live. I have never seen a chicken want to live as much as you did, my friend. You get to live. So I'm a day ahead this week. I'm just a day ahead in my head this week. A day behind. I know what it is. It's because I had a long weekend. I had Monday off. That's what it is. So anyway, we need some piggies. So anyway, I decide to leave it until Tuesday, my car, to get the guy to come out. But I completely forgot that on Tuesday they were also coming out to do the fixes to the electrical safety that was done. They replaced my electrical board, they replaced a couple of light sockets in the house and a couple of plug sockets in the house. And I'm rather kind of happy with the way that it's turned out, although I'm not very happy about my office. They've removed the light in my office and replaced it with a different one. And it used to be one of them U-shaped lights, and it used to give off a white light. And I wouldn't need any sort of lights to light up a green screen. I used to have a green screen in here many years ago, and I only needed that light. And that light is very good. It's very soft on the eyes, and I really liked it. But they've replaced it with your standard bog light that goes into your living room or your kitchen, and I don't know why they shouldn't be allowed to, because this room is technically a utility room. It's not an office. There is a washer in here, and there is which obviously gives off water and stuff. And so if because of that, it should be one of them U lights. So I have no idea why he's replaced it with this one, but I wasn't very happy with the guy. Like my cupboard above the electric meter is absolutely filled with pieces of wire and plaster, and I had pots in there. You know, he could have come and said, hey, look, I'm going to be drilling above your cupboard. Do you need to take anything outside? He's left stuff all around the house. I'm not normally one to complain. I normally understand, you know. And, you know, when I had my boiler installed, I did find a bit of a pipe left in my boiler room. That's understandable. You know, when they filled in my gas fire and they moved the boiler upstairs. Again, I found a little bit of brick where they had not plastered it up properly. Now, if I was paying them, it would be a different story, but I rent, so it's my landlord's nightmare, not mine. But anyway, more to what I'm trying to say here is, you expect a little bit, but with this guy, there was just everything was everywhere. There's lights left in here. He's left the actual light socket that was originally in here, so I'm going to see if I can hook that up myself in due time. And we need to stop that. I wish it would stop doing that, because I really do lose my fingers when it does that. I have no idea, and I cannot see where the I think we were going this way. I guess we'll use F3. Nope, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. So it's 16,000 blocks out. It's going to take quite some time. And I wasn't going to use F3, but I'm losing my direction way too often here. So anyway, let's get back on to the car. Oh no, I was telling you about the electrical safety check. That was it. So I'm not very happy with the mess that he's left behind. Not one bit. There was a lot of it. Now, back to my car now. So I decided to call them up yesterday while he was here. And the guy came out and he looked at the car and he said, basically, your front suspension spring's gone. It's undrivable. You're going to need it to go to a garage. He was like, we've got a handful of selected approved garages if you would like one of these. And I says, no, I'm okay. I would like it towed to this garage. And the reason I have it towed to this garage is because, one, they are super friendly. And when I say super friendly, I mean I have taken my car to this garage with absolutely no way back. And they've quite willingly and completely free of charge, brought me back. And I live about 15-20 minutes away from the garage, so it's not a long distance, but it's definitely, for them, it's over a half an hour trip. And that is like super nice of them to do that. I've never been charged more, and despite what's going wrong with the car as frequently as it goes wrong, I've never run into the same issue more than once. Actually, no, I have run into one issue more than once, but that I don't blame them for that. I just blame the shoddy car. But anyway, so that kind of went into the garage. But the trouble with that, the trouble is, unfortunately for me, the garage is, because it's one of the cheaper ones in the area, it's always booked up days in advance. Now, normally there's over a 2-week wait to get your car into this garage, but just to put it into perspective for you, I had my brake line repaired at another garage when it broke down, and that cost me over £100. And when I went to them and I asked them what that repair would have cost there, they says we're talking about £70, so it's a good chunk of money cheaper. Especially because the labour at this garage is like £37 an hour, whereas all the other garages are over £40 an hour. You know, I shopped around the garages in my area for a bunch of work I needed done on my car, and all of them was quoting me north of £300. And I went to this garage and they quoted me £220 for the exact same work. And so I'm relatively happy with this garage. So I had it towed there, and I rang them up, and I didn't have to go with the car, which was great because I had no way of getting back. And they sort of fixed, they're fixing the car now. It's getting done, it's getting sorted, but they won't be able to do it till Friday, which is unfortunate. And they won't even be able to look at it till Friday. And remember, the guy who came out, the breakdown cover guy who came out to tow my car, basically, he had a look at the car as what he could while it was on the street. He has no idea that if under there may be more work that needs doing. I have no idea if there will be more work that needs doing. And I am very much scared that there is going to be more work that needs doing. So let me talk you through what's actually happened with my car. So in July, I would have owned this car for 3 years. Now, I've been wanting to drive for many years. It's always been one of the big things for me. But it's such an expensive thing to do. You know, you've got to buy the car, you've got to do the lessons, and the lessons are about £20 an hour. You know, and I didn't want to do just one lesson a week because I figured that, well, doing one lesson a week, it's good and it's all right, but I need to be able to practice. I need some way of being able to practice. And so I decided that my mum can drive, so I would buy a car. And then I would get insured and whatnot on the car. My mum could teach me how to drive, and that way I'd be learning how to drive, and I would be doing it on the cheap. The only problem is I know nothing about cars. You give me a PC and I'll build you a PC. You give me a PC and I'll tell you what's wrong with the PC. You know, quite easily. But you give me a car and I have next to no idea what's wrong with it. I've always had an interest in wanting to learn about cars, but for me, it's just been one of those things where I got to get some... Oh, come on. Forgot Squid to do that. I've got to get some funds together to be able to afford the tools to be able to do that. And, I've got a socket wrench set, but you know what I mean. So, that being said, when my cousin sort of was getting very, very frustrated with her neighbour selling this car, my cousin was selling a car, and her neighbour had agreed to buy the car. And the price was like, I think it was like £400, I think. I don't remember exactly now how much I paid for it. But my cousin was in need of money. She was struggling a little bit. Wow, that music is loud. And so I says, well, you know what? I've been wanting to do this. I've got some money saved for a car. Why don't I buy the car off you and help you out? And I offered her more than what the neighbour was for it. She accepted, but she refused to take more than what the neighbour was going to pay for it. She sold it to me for the same price she was going to pay the neighbour. The neighbour was going to pay for it, sorry. and I got the car. Now, I knew when I was buying the car that the car was broken. I know, I actually think I paid 200 or something for the car, and then I paid another 200 to get it fixed, and the grand total I spent on it was about £400. Now, we talked about speeding in the last episode of this, about my cousin, someone who puts her foot down. I've been in the car with her when she's been doing 100, and you're not supposed to do 100 in the UK, but she's done that. You know, if her foot can go to the floor, it goes to the floor, and so this car was wrecked. But I thought, hey, you know, if there's any damage to it, the MOT will pick it up, and I'll be able to fix it. And I had to have 2 new suspension mounts. I had to have a whole new exhaust system. I had to have the oil filter had to be completely changed and redone, and so did the air filter. And there were a handful of other things that needed doing to the car, which I can't remember off the top of my head. But all in all, it came up to a grand total of, I'd say roughly $420, $480, something like that. It was quite an expensive repair to get done. And it was good. It was good and it was golden all the way up until that December. Now, I bought the car in July, and in December, we was coming back from the chippy, my mother and I. My mother was driving. And as we were coming back, I'm eating my fish and chips, she's driving. The Christmas tree lights come up on the dashboard. I call them Christmas tree lights, but you know, just a bunch of lights on the dashboard telling me that a variety of things were wrong with the car. There was no powered steering, and so I said to my mum, I says, well, why don't you just turn it off and turn it back on? Maybe it's just an electrical gremlin. And she's like, oh, okay. So she pulls up just round the corner from my house and does just that. Turns it off, tries to turn it back on. Upon turning it back on, it will not start. You hear a slight chug from the engine, and that's it. Nothing else. So this is like literally 2 weeks before Christmas. I'm super excited because this is the first time that I get to do Christmas shopping where I'm not lugging things back on a bus. And so I'm like, we need to get this fixed. And so I asked a local mechanic to look at it. And he's retired now, but he was sort of retiring at the time. But he said if I could bring the car to him, that he would look at it. So I had to push the car up a hill to get it to him. And it turned out that the automatic tensioner had absolutely broke. It had snapped. And because he was retiring, he wasn't going to order parts in, because it would take a few days for the parts to arrive. And during that time, oh god, this music. The music, man. And during the time that it would take him to do it, he wanted to be done by the week. He was literally retiring that week. And this was Thursday, so he didn't want to order parts in, but he did what he could, and he put a pin in the engine. He says this is going to hold it. This is still going to charge battery. But it'll only last for a few months. You may get longer out of it, but I would definitely advise you to get it done. If I could get you the part on the cheap and fit it for you by the end of the week, I would, but it's not going to be here in time. Something like an ice cold drink. And anyway, so he pins my engine, and that does work for a while. But one of the things that I knew that I needed to do with my car, it was an advisory on the MOT, was I needed new brake discs. Cue the first time that I took it. Let's put that music back up a little bit. There we go. So look, and now the music stopped. So I take it into this garage in my local area near me. It's just literally down the road from me. And I take it in and I ask him to replace the brake pads. And then he tells me that not just do the brake pads need replacing, but the brake discs need replacing as well. Something that would have cost me about £50 to £60 now costing me £200. So me, not knowing about cars, decides to go, yeah, I need it done. I had no brakes. I need it fixed. And anyway, so he puts them on, and then he rings me up and says, your track rod end's gone. He says that you need this doing, you need this doing, and you need this doing. And I'm like, okay, so I need a new track rod end. I need 2 new shock absorbers. I need a handful of other minor things. And all in all, this was like £600-700 worth of work. And this was just a couple of months after the MOT, and I'm like, nah, there ain't no way it needs that much work this quickly. And so I took it to a different garage, and I told him all the work that needed to be done. He said for that work it'd be about £200 for him to do. He has no idea where the guy's getting £600 from. And he looks over, he says, your shock absorbers are leaking, but they aren't going to go on you. They are going to last you till your MOT, probably longer. They're perfectly fine. As for the track rod ends, he said that they didn't need replacing, that a ball joint had gone on one of them, and that's like a £4 or £5 repair. It just needs a little covering on it. It didn't need the new track rod end, which was like a £40-50 part. And he basically went down this list. The only thing that he advised me to do on what they suggested doing was to replace the battery. Now, this battery was literally, it was acidic. It was a horrible battery. You could tell from just looking at it that it needed a new one. But it's one of those things that, it's still working. I'll put a new one on as and when I get to it. And then the wishbone snapped. The wishbone snap actually snapped before I took it in to get the brakes fixed. But I forgot about that bit until just now. My mum borrowed the car. She was driving home in the car, and she turned the corner and the wishbone snapped. And this was before he said I needed 2 new track rod ends, because when the wishbone snapped, they replaced one of the track rod ends. They replaced a new track rod end and replaced the left side of the wishbone. So when he told me that I needed 2 new track rod ends, I was like, well, I know I've just had 1 replaced, so I know that I don't need 2. And plus, if I needed all of this work, I'm sure I would have got more advisories on the MOT. And anyway, it turns out that I didn't need half of that work that he wanted me to have done, and I even got the car back with lights on the dash that weren't there before, which were, according to the second mechanic I saw, were down to the battery having a low voltage. But anyway, and the car worked perfectly fine for a little while, until one day my mum's driving the car, and it starts chugging the engine, and the car is shaking, and she brings it here and she says, I think you got some crap in your engine. So I goes down and starts it up, and you could tell, and I'm like, all right, fair enough then, I'll ring the garage up, I'll get it booked in to the garage. It's still starting, it's still driving. I'll get the garage to look at it. And this is after the MOT. This is after in the end, I did have both shock absorbers replaced. About a year after he said I would need them replaced. But I did have them replaced in the end, because they were leaking. And you could feel about, I don't know, I did about 5,000-6,000 miles in it before I actually started to notice that it was getting kind of low. And so I ended up getting them done then, but I definitely didn't need them done when he said I needed them doing, and they didn't even show up as an advisory on the MOT, so they clearly didn't need doing that bad. And it makes me wonder if the brake discs actually did need doing, or if that was just another thingy. Anyway, I won't go to him anymore, even though he is just down the road from me. I won't. But so I go to this other garage, and they fixed the shock absorbers. They fixed a couple of things, and they also fixed the wing mirror, because the wing mirror was knocked off. The wing mirror had been, some kids had gone round. I mean, it goes to show how safe a area that I live in, that's the only crime that I have witnessed happening in my village in like 10 years. I live in a very, very, very safe village. But anyway, back to the engine chugging and my mum driving. My mum hates driving my car now. But anyway, so it starts chugging. So I'm like, okay, you know what, I'll take it into the garage. I'm a bit busy at the minute, so I'll do it in a couple of days. And then it comes to the day that I was going to take it. I'm like, okay, well, I'll drop my daughter off at school, pick my mum up, we'll go through. Tries to start the car. Nothing. Car won't start. The engine's just turning over. So there's power in the battery. The battery's not dead, which is an issue that I face a lot. My dead battery. But we'll get into that in a little bit. That's not the battery's fault. That's my fault for not running the car regularly. But anyway, so it doesn't start up. So I ring up my breakdown cover and I get them to come out. They tow it to the garage and I find out that it's the engine coil. And as they're looking at it, they find out that engine coil, one of the engine coils is gone and another one is ready for going. It's not going to last much longer. For the price of the part, they can repair them both with just one cost of labour, which is good because a lot of garages, they will charge you like 40 quid for the part and then 40 quid for the labour on that part. And then if you need another one doing, even if they can do it in the same hour, they're going to charge you 40 quid for the part and then 40 quid for the labour again. But this garage was like, no, we'll just charge you for the part because we will be able to replace it while we're replacing it. And I'm like, okay, cool, awesome. And they do that. And me being me decides, you know what, it's about 3 weeks from its MOT. And I'm going to take it to this garage for its MOT. And I'm like, you know what, why don't you just go and put it through an MOT? Might as well get it done now while I'm here so I don't have to worry about it. And he's like, we got 3 more weeks left. I'm like, yes, I know, but I'm going to be super busy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get down in 3 weeks. Just do it while you're here. And then it comes back with a bunch of problems. First of all, the reoccurring issue. Let's get into the reoccurring issue, the airbag light. My airbag light on my dash comes on all the time. And what it is there's a wire that runs underneath the passenger seat. And because this is a 3-door car, meaning that there's no back doors, whenever I put anyone in the back of my car, like my daughter, or I pick up some friends, that chair's getting moved back and forth constantly. And so that means that for whatever reason, that wire is constantly getting pulled on. And that means that it starts getting frayed, it starts getting detached, it starts getting damaged very quickly. It's a very, very bad design. The mechanic that I saw who said that my shock absorbers would last, a very nice guy, he said he actually had a Fiat Punto. And I showed him the light, and he says, I'm not going to put my diagnostic meter on it because I tell you what that is now. And he wiggled around the wire under the seat, and it went off. And when that white light is on, if you wiggle the wire, it does go off. Although, after about a year of people constantly getting in and out, the wire is just too badly damaged to really to try and get it through the MOT. So I have to have it replaced, unfortunately. But it's like a £10 part, and you know, because they're doing so much work on the car as it is, I end up not paying for labour on it, which is awesome. But that's another reason that I like this garage. But yeah, so I have that done, and then there was every time it fails missions, every MOT it fails missions. I have no idea why, but it does, and they have to put a sleeve on it. I think the sleeves don't last because I always need a new one. But again, that's like a £10 part, very cheap, and again, it's usually included with what other work they're doing on the car, and so, you know, I don't feel like they're doing me. So, yeah. So it's coming up for July soon. We're in April now, so it's April, May, June, July. So I got 3 months till my car is due for its MOT. And I am debating buying a new car. Because this car has now gone on me twice in the past month, I want to say. Maybe a month and a half. It has gone on me twice. First of all, I lost braking. I actually believe I did a video talking about that. I lost braking, and in the end, it ended up becoming something that lost braking became a little bit problematic. But now I've lost steering, and it's like so much is going wrong on this car, so much, and I don't really know where to go with it or what to do, because I'm in that place where it's like, have I fixed everything on this car that I can fix, or is more going to go wrong? Because I keep thinking, what more can go wrong? Because I've not had the same part die on me twice. Not had the same part die on me twice yet, apart from, like I said, the airbag wire. But how long until it does? How long until it does? Alright, I'll be back with you in just I tell you, people like calling me when I record. I swear. My mom, she has recently bought this light that she has right on the top of her telly. And it's also attached right to the top of her tablet and her phone. And as soon as I hit the record button, that light lights up. And my mum goes, "Time to call Kyle." I swear. Every time. Every single time. I just want to tell you about my car. I want to rant about how stupid and unpredictable and broken and dead and destroyed and doomed my car is. And we're closing in on the end of this day, so I don't have much time left. But yes, so I'm very much at a place now where I am debating whether my car really is worth keep on fixing. Because yet again, I get paid. I've just been paid, and I found myself with again another repair to my car. It seems like every time I get paid, that I'm inevitably having to repair my car. Do I have a spade? No, I don't. And I really, it's really getting to a point where I don't think that it's. Oh, stop doing that. I don't think that it's really worth doing to keep on repairing it, because realistically it's not gonna last much longer. It's just not. But then I think that, and then I'm like, hang on a minute, it's not gonna last much longer, but what have you yet to replace on it? Oh, I've also replaced all the tires. Actually no, I've replaced 3 of the 4 tires. I apologize. 3 of the 4 tires have been replaced. So 2 new suspension mounts, 2 new shock absorbers, 3 new tires, a wing mirror, an old. In fact, you know what? The alternator hasn't been replaced. The engine hasn't been replaced. The shell hasn't been replaced. Yep, that's about all that hasn't been replaced. So it's like, how much longer do I have left? But anyway, that's going to call it for this episode, guys. So if you have enjoyed this video, please do consider leaving a like. It really helps out the channel, and I really do appreciate it. And if you have made it to the end of this video, I would like to ask you your opinion on something. Recently on my channel, I tried a new thumbnail method. I tried something for market kiosks. Let's build quick builds. I used a different thumbnail template for that, and I don't like it. I don't. I prefer my normal ones that I use. But I just want your opinion. Let me know what you think of it. Do you like that one better, or do you like the other one? Just let me know. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. So if you've enjoyed the video, please do consider leaving a like. It really helps out the channel, and I really do appreciate it. So please do leave that like. Don't buy a Fiat Punto. I'm KC, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't buy a Fiat Punto.